everyone. Welcome to the Spot Real Talk. My name is Tiara.
I'm Tiffany.
And I'm Ron.
And today we are here to talk about Atlanta. It is back for a fourth and final season. So we are so excited to see new episodes. And they definitely, kick things off with the bang. I'm so excited to get started because there are some common themes going on. So we got a lot to say. Before we even get started, I want you guys to click that subscribe button down in the bottom. Make sure you are subscribed to this channel and you also have clicked the notification bell so you get alerted whenever we post. So do that real quick and we'll be back to get started in just a second. We are back. Like I said, we are talking Atlanta. We have three episodes to discuss for this new season. So the first episode was titled Most Atlanta. So, and there was a lot going on there. I know some of the opening scene, for instance, that one was very familiar. I was like, okay, this is the George Floyd scene from Target where, this lady is kind of trying to stop the looters from the store. And I was like, as I watched all three episodes, you start to see common themes. And so last season they were addressing some of the international racism that they were experiencing. And I think in this at least in the first three episodes that I've seen so far, it seems like they're addressing like the white privilege of it all and the audacity that some of these folks have.
Absolutely. That's why I wore my shirt. Not today, Karen.
There's also a certain there was also a certain revenge factor in all three relationships episodes that I did enjoy. I think the third one was the most poignant with the group.
Yes.
We'll get deeper into it. But
and that's why I was like, I don't know if you guys want to go episode by episode or we can talk about this by theme because there's some themes that are going to come up that will weave into all three episodes.
And let's talk about it by theme. That might be easier instead of going line.
Because I opened up starting about the white privilege that some of the folks have, and so that scene where the woman is she's disabled, so she's in her little her scooter, and she is trying to stop the looters from stealing out of the Target. But it was reported in the actual story, this was a real thing that happened during the George Floyd protests in Minneapolis early 2020. And it was reported that the woman actually had like a knife or something and she was trying to stab people. And that's how she ended up getting sprayed with the fire extinguisher. Yeah. And so I was like, the audacity, to think that you can do that to people,
and she was like, give me liberty and give me death. And they gave her what she wanted too, with the spray.
Yes. And then the fact that even throughout the episode, she was still chasing Darius down. I'm like, out of control.
Yeah, she was beyond Karen. And and to the point that even if it's your store, you got insurance. And here you were attacking a person that was completely innocent. It just happened to be black with something in his hand that you thought he stole. And he couldn't tell you that he didn't steal it. Now,
exactly.
I have to say for Darius, look, man, there was a whole lot of SHIT going on in that store. And, if it had been me, I might have chosen another day to try to come in and return something.
Exactly.
Because he was so nonchalant, like nothing was going on.
Like ain't nothing going on but me.
But Darius, that's him. He's so spacey. He always just kind of
in his own world.
Yeah, he's in his own world for sure. And I don't know, but I do know that she was way out of pocket trying to attack him. and follow him. I mean, but she was some kind of ghostly figure or some evil figure, because it didn't matter where he was, she showed up.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't matter who had the what was that, oven?
The air fryer.
Air fryer. Didn't matter who had the air fryer. She was going to show up, so that's the funny part about it.
Yes, because at the end, you see she's doing the Uber. The girl was trying to get the Uber out of there. All you hear is the wheelchair wheels going. I'm like, this woman just won't quit.
Man, she's Freddy Krueger. So,
Listen, the way she was acting, I was like,
yeah,
she might have been at the January 6th.
Hey,
I was like, she's a little overzealous, man. I'm like,
mm-hmm. But then you also seen it in the second episode, which was titled "The Homeliest Little Horse," and so that episode really took me out because I was really trying to make the connection between what this white lady had to do with Earn, and that's the thing I think we love about this show is there's no way you can predict this. They can show us previews for the next episode and there's still no way you're going to be able to predict what's going to happen.
Well,
I was just going to say the opening of the second episode where we see this white woman walking her dog and she's kind of eyeing this black man and listening to the R&B music and stuff like that. And I'm like, I don't know where this is going because I thought she might have been a Karen towards him. Maybe she's one of those people that's like the nosy neighbor and she's going to do something that is completely racist towards this man. So I wasn't sure where it was going to go yet.
Well, for me, because it took me a minute, like you said, to figure out what did this white woman do to Earn, and then I realized when he had the family trip and it was at the airport that gave him such a hard way to go.
Yes.
Even though he left her position and went to a black woman, the black woman got him on board and everything, then she makes a call to the TNA or whatever it is, and they held him up. And so he was going to get his revenge. And, and that had to have been the woman that I'm thinking that, he attacked like that. Now, the question is, was that overkill or was that, hey, you reap what you sow? I looked at it like you reap what you sow.
I was laughing so hard at that statement Darius made. He was like, I don't know whether this is extreme pettiness or terrorism. Earn definitely took it over the top.
Earn said it could be both. And you know what? I'm fine with that because I think, I'm going to say it. I'm fine with it because I think if more people got what they dished out, they wouldn't make that dish again.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? I was thinking, and now I see that this probably is not the case, but one of the things that I was thinking, when Earn, and then he talked about why he was kicked out of Princeton and everything. We never heard that story.
Right.
It was all 4 seasons, like why he left Princeton, And when they have shown this white woman, I was wondering, I was like,
is that the girlfriend?
Is this the girl that he was hanging out with in school?
Yes.
I was wondering, is this the same woman? Like, that he tried to get the suit and all the drama that set all this in motion. I was wondering if she was the one.
Mm-hmm. That's what I thought too.
He said something to the therapist. He said something about the family plan that got ruined. And that's what made me think, okay, because I had to see it a second time. Because like you, I'm like, but damn, she's kind of old to be, with him at Princeton. But then again, age really not anything to do with it. But when he mentioned it to the therapist and the way he mentioned it, I'm like, okay, that must be her.
And how it all went down, because I watched it twice like you guys, and I had to try to put it all together because at the opening scene, you see her kind of like taking in all of the Black culture. She was clearly admiring that Black man, like checking him out. She had listened to the R&B music. Like I said, when she went in for the book reading, she had her hair laid, had the edges all laid and swirled out. And so I'm like, okay, so she clearly indulges in Black culture and she enjoys it, but she would also do something harmful to a Black man and his family like that. And so I'm like, okay, so you see where they're clearly being influenced by our culture and don't even realize it. It's so like to them, they don't see it. And so I thought that it was like, that was really crazy to me, first of all. And then how I guess she in her position, she was not doing well herself. So she was struggling. She was borrowing money from friends and things like that and going into debt. And here Ern is this very successful Black man, and she treated him that way and unknowingly. So, I mean, obviously she doesn't know what he does or his background, but if you're looking at a person and you see that it's a Black family together and you still go out of your way to try to make their travel situation miserable, it's like, okay, something's going on there. So I thought that this second episode should have been titled FU money, because it's clear that Ern got some FU money at this point where he can go back and get revenge like that. I mean, he hired all the actors and stuff. And when I seen that, I was like, okay, that gotta be some terrorism. I agreed with Darius, because he went to extraordinary lengths to get this woman back.
I don't think it was petty. Okay, y'all can come at me if you like, but my point is,
that's my kind of petty. You can say that.
If I'm gonna be petty, let it be petty with the person that
my kind of petty.
My thing, look, some people have to be taught a lesson. Some people can learn from others. She needed to be taught a lesson, and I got the lesson fully, because now she's out of job. She don't have a book signing or any of that. She's done. So now she's got to go back and try to find work. I thought when the little dog jumped out of the car that even more trauma would happen. I thought the dog was going to be run over by a truck. So that was that's what I was kind of like back on. I'm like, oh no, not the dog, but and luckily the dog was safe.
And I think another thing that we kind of seen is like how I guess it's the racism that plays into the workplace as well, because you kind of, and even if we talk about Ern's situation before I go to the workplace, but at school, at college, like he talked about how he was basically doing something to get his own property back. Like he used his key as an RA. So he had the master key, went and got property that rightfully belonged to him. And then the girl blew up this whole story and used these rapey terms that, made him seem like he was being an intruder and doing all of this other stuff. And even though he apologized, he was still ostracized. And so I think the therapist was trying to point out to him, like, you don't see necessarily how all of this stuff is leading you to be very vengeful and I can't even think about the word that he used, but he was spiteful. He was saying you're being spiteful, and it may not even be in your best benefit, because Ern, it kind of brought out some things about him that we didn't even know, in terms of like how he mentioned he had been touched as a child. And I was like, wow. So, I mean, it really goes a lot deeper. And he mentioned like how feeling that way after getting kicked out of Princeton, feeling used and abused, took him back to that same place he felt when
feeling
he was
helpless,
touched by a family member. So I'm like, wow, this really goes super deep for him. And then on top of that, how it's giving him health problems. He mentioned how he's on like a heart monitor now, and he has all of these pains and things. So I'm like, wow, who knew that Ern was in this state?
He had all this stress and anxiety.
Yeah, so it's just amazing, the consequences of some of the stuff that goes on, the racism and just the two sides of the coin, the white privilege of it all too, because they can move on with their lives and not have any effects of the situation. That white woman who did that to him has probably moved on with her life and not even thinking about it. But here it is, years and years later, Ern is still being affected by it, to the point where he doesn't even want to do a speaking engagement there.
Well, that's the thing about the audacity of that. The fact that they basically booted him out of the school, and now that he is somebody in their eyes, they wanted him to come back and speak at the school. I'm like, but you didn't even allow him to graduate. You kicked him out of school. But yeah, so for me, I didn't blame him for not wanting to go back to the school.
Right.
Like,
right.
no.
I think I would have gone back and made it very clear what this school was about to those 12 Black folks that were that were in school at the time he was in school, in the sense to say, hey, I'm here to speak on blah, 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 but let me tell you, keep your place, keep your ducks in order, because this is what can happen to you.
I'm like, no, not so y'all can be putting it all on your page and monetizing your school that so and so went here and everything.
Yep.
You're not gonna make no money off me.
Yep. Ern said exactly
so
that.
No.
Yeah.
I would tell them the truth in some interviews. I was like, you went there? Oh yeah, I did. And let me tell you what happened.
Yeah.
I didn't get to finish because that's the type of
Yeah. And so I mean, it's just amazing how that stuff has stuck with him all these years. And he, I guess at the end of that session, he decided he didn't need therapy and he went off and did what he did to get his revenge. But by the end of the episode, he's back there at the bar like, maybe I do need to go back to therapy.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I knew it was a mistake when he said he wasn't coming. I was, oh boy. Like, you need that therapy, bro.
That should have been therapy enough.
Yes.
You got it back. I mean, look, I'm not one to tell what you do to me, I do back to you. I do believe that in a lot of instances, things that happen to you, you got to let it go because it can eat you out. And you don't want to. You're not hurting the other person that victimized you because you're holding on something. You're only hurting yourself. However, I think when you have the means and the opportunity to show someone and have them experience the things that you so easily put out on others, give it to them.
And it's really clear that they have leveled up since leaving Europe.
Yeah.
Ern is doing well for himself.
Really well.
Yeah, and he's contemplating this move to California because he's been given a really good job offer. And I think that with what's going on with him, he's also trying to balance things with being in his daughter's life, because we've seen it in therapy. That was also another topic of conversation with whether he should go to California and pursue that career option. But we seen in the first episode, he and Van, it was interesting because it seemed like they were jealous of each other's exes continuing to pop up. And I'm like, okay, so y'all still not over each other.
I was like, Atlantic Station?
That to me kind of presented a Twilight Zone kind of thing,
It was, right?
Yeah, it was.
It's like trapped in like a matrix where you just stuck in the past, and all of the exes were wearing the same thing that they had the last time they seen them, talking about these events they went to the last time they seen them. So they just trapped in this time warp.
Folks that said it, that are from Atlanta, they say that like Atlantic Station, that's how it is. You see everybody goes there and everything.
And getting lost.
What's funny is the guy, the ex of Vans that's still at the Enterprise or whatever. What's it?
The cell phone store.
The cell phone store or whatever. That he she dated him like a decade ago, and he in the same spot.
Yeah, because he was talking about a concert that they went to, and he was like, that was in like 2000.
He was like, Kid Ink, and I was like, okay, how long ago was that?
Right. And even one of Ern's exes was like, the last movie they went to see was Now You See Me Too. That was 2016. So everybody was just stuck. And I thought it was interesting how they were getting ready to escape. They found the little trap door. And Ern was getting ready to go by himself at first. And Van was like, don't leave me here by myself. And he kind of made that comment to her. He was like, I would never leave you. And so I was like, okay, I kind of feel like there's some hope for them.
Yeah, I think so.
Don't leave me like you left those other girls. And that's when he said, I'll never leave you. So I'm like, okay, so maybe they're going to,
I think they probably still, and then
I hope so.
Them having the child too, that bond too. So I'm hoping. But what about Paper Boi and
Blue Blood,
the rapper, the Blue Blood?
Well, I was going to say that. Because the situation with Van and Ern, it came up like I was looking in the third episode, this most recent one, when he went into the office, and I was thinking, is that his current job where he's at? Because I don't think he's already gone to LA as of yet. So I'm thinking this is his current job, where in the most recent episode, they're trying to do this little PR cleanup for this white lady that has walked in and attacked this teen holding a gun.
It seems that had to have been his current job, because
that's what I was thinking. So if that is his current job, then that's all the more reason to leave and pursue this thing in LA.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? I thought it was new job only because he was supposed to be doing creative consulting there, and because they were supposed to be thinking of ideas and creatively how to represent these people. I was just like, maybe this is the new gig. I could be wrong, but
it's the way he dissed him. The boss did. The boss didn't really seem to want to care about what he said. And then when he said, that he needed to go and that he could book D'Angelo, and the boss was like, "Well, you go run along, go right ahead." That sounded to me like there's some experiences that the two of them have.
Yeah, probably
either one way or the other, but it was just to me, there was a sense of familiarity between the two that made me believe that was his current job and not his new one. But like you said, here goes that race thing again. What the white woman did, and now everybody's trying to cover and trying to figure out a way.
They make me so sick when they try to taint the image of the person that's been victimized.
Victimized, right?
What if we say he came from this neighborhood and he did? Like, I'm like, okay,
yeah.
Now it shows. I mean, they said the quiet part out loud because we already know in our mind what these media firms and stuff do, but for him to say it blatantly, like, and put it out there, like, this is what they're doing behind the scenes, it's really disgusting.
But that's what I love about Atlanta, because they really put the things that we think about or may hear remotely, they put it out front, stage, right street. And get around it. And, it is what it is. And that's what I like. And to me, that's another way of getting back. Hide these things, put it out, let everybody know what's really going on. Open people's eyes, and some eyes are going to remain closed no matter what. But put it out there.
Yeah, and Tiffany, you brought up the racism in the music industry, because we're kind of seeing it throughout all of the episodes in a little bit of a different way, and how it's affecting Paper Boi's artistry. Because this episode, like we said, he's coming off of this European tour, and now he's doing arena tours in the States. So that's major. He's blown up. So he has a level of success that a lot of artists don't usually reach as early on as he has. So it's a success marker for him. But then he has this guy approaching him to mentor his son. And he initially declined, but once that money got to talking, he was like $1 million. So he starts seeing the ugly side of the industry too. And he is basically going in to coach this team who is named Benny, and Benny is basically blowing him off like, "Oh yeah, my dad just does that, but I don't really need your help. Just sit here and collect the money." And you can see how these look like young white male teens are going and making this music that is like so irrelevant. It's like it has nothing to do with anything. It's literally like just filler music that they a lot of times you see on TikTok or one of these little popular media apps for the kids. And it's kind of devoid of any relevance. And Paper Boi's music is more about like real relevant. Like he has substance in his music. So he's kind of turned off by it, you can tell. But it's like, okay, do I keep pursuing my path and possibly become relevant to a subset of a younger generation? Or do I hop on this bandwagon and collect my check and, get me one of these young white kids that I can manage and groom and eat off of?
But you know what? Let me tell you why that was so poignant to me, because I have a friend years ago that was in business and didn't do too well in getting gigs. And then he got this idea to hire this young white boy to do his sales for him. Job, his position blew up. And I'm scratching my head thinking, what did he just do? And even though it was explained later on, but this is what I saw with that. yeah, you may be doing these tours and so forth and so on, but the reality is, you know, get your own white avatar, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and look where you got. You know, the question is, at some point, you will become irrelevant. And so, why not put into motion what they've been doing it to us for hundreds of
Mm-hmm.
years? And why not put into motion something that's going to keep you present and alive, and use them the same way they've used us for hundreds of years? Why not?
I was gonna piggyback on that as because we have real life examples. Because I know, for instance, when Justin Bieber hit,
Mm-hmm.
and not saying that Justin Bieber's not talented and all that, no shade to Justin, but when he came out, who was his protege? Usher. I mean,
Usher, yeah.
Usher was his mentor, and Usher basically mentored him, and Justin was like the protege and everything. And now you think
Mm-hmm.
how huge Justin is. Justin was net worth about 200 something million. I mean, he blew up. And even now, I think the rappers looking at this episode maybe think about the current white rap Jack Harlow. Jack
Yeah.
Harlow is hot and everywhere now. And
Mm-hmm.
I like some of Jack Harlow's music, signed to DJ Drama. He's on the same label as Lil Uzi and stuff, like his music. But a lot of times, you know, white artists will blow up off of our music and stuff. Like
Yeah.
I remember the singer Tank talking about it years ago, like when Sam Smith did that song Stay With
Yep.
Me. He
Mm-hmm.
sounds a lot like Tank. And Tank pretty much said, if I had recorded that song, it probably still wouldn't have blown up the way it did for Sam Smith, who sounds a lot like Tank. He's a white artist. And so it happens like that. That I thought that
Mm-hmm.
that episode was so much on point.
Spot on.
And like Elvis stole a whole lot from Little Richard. So it's been going on
Chuck
since the
Berry.
80s. Chuck Berry, he stole it. Look, if it sound good, he stole it. And it became his. So why not?
Mm-hmm.
Why not?
Yeah, but I think for somebody like Paperboy, because you could see like how once they went to the Grammys, he was excited to be there, but then he found out that his artist, the Yodel kid, who by the way was also a thing online, he was a real person
Uh-huh.
that was yodeling and gaining popularity. And they even mentioned in the episode like how overnight, like 11 days, I think he said it took for this kid to blow up, and they automatically just ended up at the Grammy. So talking about the resources and how everything just gets streamlined for those type of artists.
Mm-hmm.
But then I think for him, like I said, it's more about the artistry. And you could tell going back into that first episode when he was talking about his favorite rapper Blue Blood, who had died, and you could tell how affected he was. But something stood out to me in that episode, where he walked into the funeral home and the wife approached him like, "Oh, you figured it out, you got the scavenger hunt."
Uh-huh.
And he was like the fifth person to make it there. And so it's like the true artists don't get the appreciation that
Mm-hmm.
they deserve.
Mm-hmm.
Because that was and it was based on, I believe, a real rapper named MF Doom. I've seen a lot of people on Twitter talking about that. Mm-hmm. But that whole episode, how much art and talent that he put into that music and making it creative for mm-hmm. his true fans, mm-hmm. and only to be underappreciated and basically forgotten about almost. And so it's like a real contrast with that, whereas this young white artist got all the resources, and even though he overdosed, he was still revered, at the Grammys and doing all of these big things. It's just like a stark contrast. You can see it between the two worlds. And I kept thinking to myself, why did they bring D'Angelo into this episode?
Yeah, I was wondering, I said, is he gonna really be there? Right. I was like, they had a bootleg D'Angelo.
Yeah, and so I was wondering about that. And I started thinking about the whole thing with Prince too, because I know he was very like anti-industry. And I was like, okay, I think at some point in time, D'Angelo was kind of on that vibe as well, where he was not trying to be commodified, basically. And he was talking about just the nasty side of the industry. And I think that he was trying to safeguard his sanity and his peace and his artistry as well. And so I think that that's why like Earn had to jump through all of those hoops and be tested in order to make it through to see him. And so I thought that episode was very interesting in terms of, because we know that Childish Gambino is an artist as well, and so like seeing it through his lens and how he's experienced the industry. So I just thought that was very interesting, and the fact that Paper Boi, he talked to Earn at the end, and he is kind of saying, you know, how do you do it? You know,
being a manager, right?
Yeah, being a man, because it clearly affected him. Like he wasn't willing to really like just do it for the money. You can tell that Paper Boi is in it for more than just that at the heart of it. You know, he tried to do it for the money and it didn't work out. But basically, like Earn was saying to him, he what did he say? I lost my page, but I think what Earn was saying basically is like you can't pay attention to like I think he said you can't pay attention to the money or something like that, but
and to the minutia of all, you know, Earn was able to keep things separate as a manager. You know, he didn't pay he didn't pay a whole lot of attention. I think what Paper Boi was really saying is he got caught up in all the mess. You know.
That's what it was. Earn said it's not about what feels good, but what survives. It's
about survival. So, and one thing that the other dude that was when they invited Paper Boi to that little meeting, and Paper Boi said, you know, he wants to be true to the streets. Yeah, to a certain extent, son. Because as he said so poignantly, the streets won't pay you.
Sorry, y'all.
So, you know, the streets is, you know, they may give you that notoriety, but that's not what's going to keep you paid. So I'm glad that Paper Boi learns. He learns quickly because after all, you know, is that a dog that we got going on in there? But
yeah, somebody else trying to join the conversation. I had to force them out.
Hey, gonna bring her. Hey, she might have some things of her own to say about this. They have some things of his own he may want to say. So you never know. Look, animals.
Speaking of black and white,
right?
Yeah, but
I don't know. I hear you on that, Ron. I do. I think that it's tough being like a Black person in the industry and being so hyper aware of what's going on around you, because I think it's very clear that they are very aware, and it seems like instead of staying in their situations, they're trying to escape it. Because we heard Earn say he wanted to move, and then we also seen like Paper Boi when he was sitting in that Atlanta traffic. He was supposedly on his way to the airport to move, and he was talking to Darius, and Darius like, well, where are you going? He was like, I don't know, maybe Jamaica or something, you know? So it's like, I think they're trying to escape the issues that are around them. And it kind of reminded me of like that Dave Chappelle situation where like the industry seemed to like really be like weighing on him. And that's when he went off to Africa for a few years to escape it all. Like, that's what I mean by like being super aware of what's going on in your industry, and then like all the hoops they make you jump through, and just being aware of the racism.
That social culture that destroys everything. We see it here recently with the Celtics head coach, and how that social. I'm not going to delve too deep in it because I know we got some about it, but you know, it's so destructive because you have people come out and say some of the most ridiculous things without knowing the situation, without knowing circumstances, or caring about the real victim of the story. And Tiffany, you had a lot to say about that before we started the show.
Yeah, offline. Yeah, I was agitated. I was agitated about the whole thing only because I just saw some really unkind comments about the Nia Long situation and everything. And you made some good points, Ron, about how the attention is not really being paid to the Brett Favre situation, who basically bamboozled the whole state with this welfare scheme and stuff. And then, you know, all this is on Ime, but I just was really disheartened at a lot of the comments, like age shaming Nia and things like that. And I was disappointed to see a lot of those comments and everything.
And it all ties in because, like, when you watch these shows, it's not just for entertainment value. And like you said, y'all are bringing in real world examples that happened just this week, where you can see like the privilege and some of the things that goes on. And then, like, not to say who's right or wrong, but certain things get swept under the rug for certain people.
Right.
And so it's like, it's hard to ignore. And sometimes it's very blatant.
Yeah.
And so like that's I think why I really appreciate this show, because it does a really good job at speaking on social commentary and providing like some very thought-provoking topics that you can sit around with your friends, or like we come on here to discuss. And it just, I think it not only provides a safe space to talk about these things, but also it can help you to like work through things on your own, to realize some things about yourself and how you navigate. And I really hope that, you know, there's more than just us in terms of like Black folks watching, because it should reach a wider audience and really stir up some of their thoughts as well on how they go about their lives and the effects of some of the things that they do, whether they intentionally do it or not. So my hat's off to this whole cast and crew.
No, I agree. And that's what I love so much about Atlanta, because even the things that we tend to forget, it kind of brings to front the reality of things. When, you know, when you step out the door, these are the things that we as Black folk got to deal with every single day. And I see a lot of white people accepting their reality with white privilege. But then the question is, what are you going to do about it? You know, that's the common thread, or the common, the common thread amongst white folk. You know, even the so-called good white folk. If you sit back and allow it, then you're no better than the person that's perpetrating this whole the mess. So, like you said, I hope that there are more people than just Black folk watching Atlanta, because you're really getting a great depiction of what things are like. You know, so. Yeah, like you said, I love the show. It's there you go, because trust me, there's not going to be anything else like it.
Yeah. So, like I said, the show is hard to predict, but do you guys have predictions for how things might turn up by the end of this? Because this is the final season.
Wow.
So I'm really hoping Ern and Van will work things out.
that they might get back together and stuff. I'm still interested to see what's going on with Darius. We never know what's going on.
That is the most unpredictable part.
Darius.
Darius is going to run for some office.
He'll be the mayor.
Yeah, he's going to be mayor or some senator. You know, Darius has got it. He's got his foot right where it needs to be. I think Paper Boi he's going to lead the art world,
the industry. I was thinking he might,
like, you know, he might be disheartened by all of that, because, you know, I don't know. I saw this movie recently that had the rapper Freddie Gibbs in it, and basically it was about that. He was a big rapper, and he stepped away from the industry and went to like the mountains and stuff. And his manager was like, "Wait a minute, we're waiting for y'all to drop an album, whatever." But basically, he was kind of through with the industry. And his people, everybody was trying to pull him back in and everything. And by the end of the movie, it's not really clear whether he decided, like, did he get his hair right and decided to step back into the industry or not. But seeing this experience with Paper Boi, it made me wonder if, like, will he do something similar? Like, will he be so disheartened with his experiences with the business? And just like Paper Boi is talented. And when he went to that studio and saw Benny and them, and they were doing their whack behind bars, you know, they were whack. They were whack. And you see that, you know, their artistry was being, you know, rewarded with Grammys and everything. Whereas Paper Boi and other artists who are naturally talented, you know, it's not the same. And we see that a lot. We'll see that a lot. Like, you know, we saw that with the Grammys years ago, the one year that Kendrick should have clearly won. And and they gave it to a white artist, you know, and stuff. And so it happens a lot in real
Yeah.
life.
Yeah, I really hope that by the end they both kind of end up self-sufficient. Like I really want to see Earn not working for anybody. I want to see him level up and start his own thing. I want to see Paper Boi as an independent artist, like not signed to anybody, kind of doing things his way and not having to deal with the industry. I really hope that that's where things end up, where everybody can really be on their own by the end of
Start
this.
his own label since he was signing. You know, he already signed the kid. So, you know,
Yeah.
he passed, but you know, if he starts his own label and
Mhm.
everything, he can you know, basically mentor artists and stuff.
That's
Yeah.
true. And he's got a good head start too. I mean, you know, his artists did well, so starting his own label should be the next best level up. That should be that's the natural progression to me. Yeah, I can see that. I prefer that over mine, but some way I think he's just gonna leave it all together.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to the next episode though. I've seen in commercials that, you know, we see Brianna McCole White, who has been playing in the BMF series as the mother of yeah, so she's featured in some of the previews that I've seen. I've also seen Cat Williams, Florida Man.
Okay.
and some of them, I don't know if what capacity they'll be in, but I'm excited to see those two coming back on screen. And I'm just looking forward to seeing where they take us with this whole storyline. I'm really feeling just how much they give us to chew on every week, and how much they pull from real life and then tie into the stories in a very comedic way. So the whole the way things are written, the way things are acted out, I really appreciate how they do things, which is why this show is going to be so missed when it's done.
Definitely thought-provoking, makes you think.
Yeah. So do you guys have anything else you want to add before we close out? No, I think we said it all. Okay, well, I just want to thank everyone for watching. Please make sure you drop down into the comment section and give us your thoughts on these first 3 episodes that have aired so far. Also, give us some of your thoughts and predictions on how things may end up by the end of the season. And make sure you are subscribed to this channel. Please click the subscribe button and the notification bell so you get alerted every time we post. We are also on all social media platforms at The Spot Real Talk, so make sure you follow us there as well. And if you guys don't have anything else to add, I think we're going to call it a night. So we'll be back for another recap of Atlanta next week. So make sure you are tuned in for that. Have a good night, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Butterfly doors on the Tesla, I just spent shit on gas. $150, I be at the strippy club. Whiskey sippy cup, I be on like Disney Plus. Empress New Grove, all my cheese blue. Bitch got a twin and she let me hit it. Hold up. Freaky little mommy wanna suck me till I sleep. I can't even lie, yeah, she being a little creep. Now she wanna airdrop me, pick double D's. And she don't charge a fee, they for free. Dre Eliante pulling up.